So, did you guys actually find a theater with the Barbie movie still playing?
What? I don't understand this movie.
You will on Thursday night?
Did you watch it?
No.
Odin, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Is it any good?
It's okay. Yeah. It's
Chris is like, you're not helping my cause, bro.
It's good.
All right. This from CNBC. Here's why it's so important to start saving and investing in your 20s. Okay, so between the high inflation that we've experienced over the last 2 years, the new student loan debt that recently came online, and the rising costs of rent and medical expenses, we thought it should be really important for us to touch on some key things that we think if you're in your 20s and you're looking to start investing, these are the things that you should be looking to do. The article itself really wanted to dive into compound interest, which is a component that I know we're going to be speaking about when we go over some of the 4 components that we think is important and why you should be investing in your 20s. But it goes on to say, if you invest $2,000 a year, which is just approximately $166 a month, from the age of 19 to 27, and don't save anything beyond that point, to assume your investments yield on average a 10% rate, okay, which is what the S&P 500 tends to give on average, right? Over the course of your lifetime, you'll end up with $1 million by the time you're 65. That's just investing for 8 years.
You know, I hate that example because I think it's really difficult for somebody who's younger to understand that in the context of like their life, because you don't think about mortality when you're 27.
But you should.
I know you should, but again, social media has made us a very different society.
It has, but if you just take in the second part to that, which gives you the flip side to that example, on the other hand, if you wait to start investing when you're 27 and invest that same amount for the next 38 years, so an additional 30 years of investing, okay? But you waited to start until the age of 27, you'll end up with $800,000, $200,000 less, just by you not starting 10 years earlier.
And I agree. You should start investing early, but I think investing is a progressive load, right? So you have a bunch of suggestions here that we're going to go over, but one of the things I'll say is it doesn't really matter which one of these you start with. Obviously, some of these are going to be a lot easier to start with than others. What really does matter is that you start with something, you get comfortable with it, and then you find something else you can also invest in eventually as well. One of the common mistakes I see people make is they'll invest in one thing like the stock market. They'll do something smart, like invest in low-cost index funds, or they'll invest in a stock they really, really believe in and it does well. And then they'll sell it, and then they'll go buy like a house.
Right.
And that's all well and good. You get some equity, but then you've also lost a little bit of this diversification.
Yes.
You should plan to continue to have a little bit in the stock market or a good amount. I mean, take whatever earnings you want to off the table. Absolutely buy real estate if you need to at the time, but continue to keep that diversity and do both.
Right.
When you have a narrow focus and you're only capable of doing one and you're really a one-trick pony, you wind up robbing yourself of the stability of having diversification and the potential growth in markets that are very different in different economies.
And I think that's what tends to scare people and keep them on the sidelines is the fear of, you always hear it from movies to the classroom or at school or even people that you know that are talking about this. They say diversify your portfolio. And I think that starts to scare people and keeps them on the sidelines and not get started early.
Yeah, but I mean, when you talk about the stock market, that can be intimidating. Like, you got to be in the bonds. You got to have some recurring revenue. You got to have some, something that pays dividends, and it can become overwhelming.
Right.
But there's a way to do it where you just go into the stock market with consistent recurring investments, you dollar cost average, and that's all you really need to know for the stock market purposes until you get a bigger portfolio or you need somebody else to manage it. If you're just starting out, that's a great place to start. And most people in America, especially in their 20s, their first stock investment will actually not be something they went out and bought. It'll be part of their 401k.
Yes.
They'll get a job. It'll offer them a 401k, typically with an employer match. Do not make the mistake of not matching 100% of what your employer will match, right? If they're going to give you a 5% match or a 3% match,